Hey everyone, I'm going to go ahead and review June 8th, 2023 market internals. Looking at SPY here, today was a little bit of a challenging open. We had very little tick action whatsoever on either side here. We had a couple 500 breaks on both sides, but not a lot of confirmation of direction from AD or VOLD. Taking a look at the AD and VOLD bands, we can see they're bearish with the bearish 20 SMA trends on both of them. And while it does start to kind of work, once we hit these ending session lows from yesterday's price, we bounce off of that, reclaim TWAP, and start to move up. Now, this move's not bad in that it's over what I like to see, session TWAP, reclaim. I like to see that standard deviation break. But overall, just the action, very choppy. So you had to have a lot of patience today. If you're trading options, certainly grab some time. 0 days, unless you were right on the money for the momentum breakout, kind of like this move here, you were probably going to lose quite a lot to time decay on the contracts. Now reviewing the tick average closures, a lot of oscillation for the first half of the day. Trend showing a balance, and I would say roughly from that time to the last time we saw a balance indication. So while we did have somewhat of a breakout and a break back down to test the session TWAP, for the duration of the balance indication by trend, we only moved 46 cents on SPY. So I think that was a pretty good overall indication by trend there on what was going to happen with the market. SPY overall closed up $2.50. So this kind of move here via the internals, there's just not a lot here. The trends on the AD and VOLD, and you can just see they're flip-flopping all day. This is not the kind of move that I like to take advantage of. The session TWAP test here at right around the 1:30 time, a little later than that, but that could have been a nice long setup there if you were still in a bullish bias. I mean, AD and VOLD are bearish. Their trends were bearish at that time. The only thing I think that we really had to go off of was previous day's session, TWAP session price of about 427. So we didn't even quite come down there. A long off the bounce with a stop loss about here, targeting the upper standard deviation high break for profit and potentially the previous high. That could have been a nice setup, but you're ignoring a lot of the market internals, which I just personally don't like to do. So today was definitely frustrating for me. Not as much opportunity. We'll take a look at the tick levels here. So tick level, strong close up here, which we do see on the histogram. And that's right around that first deviation break, trying to hold that price. And that's about it. So yeah, we did have that session TWAP here, retest, break above, and then we come back to test that level. So that's probably the best setup today, but again, you're ignoring quite a lot on the internals. You're just using tick for the most part and the TWAP. Oh, very funny here. So the session TWAP and the weekly TWAP converged right where we did this retest here. Monthly TWAP, we reclaimed that. I'm going to turn off a lot of things here. Wow. Okay, so we bounced 426 right on the morning and rose all the way up to that first deviation high on the monthly TWAP. Wow. So I think there's a lot of value, as I've said in prior videos, in these session TWAPs and weekly and monthly TWAPs. I think obviously it works much like volume weighted average price. I've already said though that this indicator does not make any use of volume whatsoever. It's very fascinating how close the two indicators can be. Sometimes there is a pretty wicked divergence though when the tick is making radical moves. So that's where I tend to find it has a slight edge over VWAP, but your opinion may vary. Let's go ahead and skip over to the Qs. Qs today actually had some better movement. Still choppy in the morning session where tick isn't really flipping either direction for us, but we did have that session TWAP bounce and a breakout of the first standard deviation. We might even see a little bit more if we turn on the second deviation here. Oh wow, so we even broke the second. Maybe turn the third one on. So pretty much just riding that. This was a nice breakout here, but again, add and Vold just not showing a whole lot. I'm going to do something I haven't done in other videos, is flip over to the NASDAQ internals. I don't really use them a lot in my day trading, just because I find the New York Stock Exchange internals work just fine and provide ample opportunity. So interesting. So the Vold band for NASDAQ internals was green all day today. If we went to look at an index heat map, NASDAQ names were probably green today, and S&P or NYSE names maybe on the whole were red. But we'll look at the add and Vold charts here in a little bit, see what was going on with those. So pretty interesting, but yeah, see, when I see the NASDAQ tick, I just don't really like it as much. The trend was showing an imbalance, so that would have been perhaps nice if you're more focused on NASDAQ. We'll flip back to the NYSE internals. So this is a pretty cookie cutter recipe here of holding the session TWAP, look for that breakout of the standard deviation and trade in that direction. That should be overall your sentiment. And again, I like to use the add and Vold bands along with tick to help align my entries, help align my bias, and it just wasn't really here today. I mean, perhaps, no, just not here. We'll turn on the tick levels. Okay, tick level, we had a strong closure here, but we didn't make a new low. That's really what we bounced off of. Interesting. Still just such a choppy move. This was smooth right here, that second deviation break, but it's a pretty late entry. Your stop should have been somewhere down here, and that's a lot to risk for. I mean, we had the session TWAP here from yesterday on Qs, so that's just too small of a trade for that kind of risk, in my opinion. Russell, how's Russell doing today? Okay, so mostly flat. I think we almost ended the same price. Okay, so the Russell dropped 25 cents. Mostly ranged. Let's look at Dow. Dow $1.63. Yep, some session TWAP tests. Trend showing the balance. This is kind of what you get. Certainly opportunities. You know, I kind of bagged on the market yesterday as well, where we had a lot of balance indication by trend. Even yesterday, you know, you could have pulled some profits out of here for sure. I'm just very picky when it comes to how I use the internals with the trading. When the add and Vold bands are showing bullish and we're dropping in price, it just doesn't make me very comfortable for a trade based off the internals. And then today, comically, a bearish add and Vold band, but we're rising in price. The inversion of the internals is slightly irritating. Let's go look at tick. So not really a whole lot to see here. You know, you can look at the fact that for the most part, most of the data is just right here. A lot of groupings just right within the 500 range, just not a lot here. We get a couple breaks, but nothing really amazing. All right, so for add, let's see what would happen here. So there's that 341 level again. Look at that. We opened up right there. Kind of an aggressive move up, back below. Then we get this test right here on this level. Fascinating. So again, not very bullish. Not very bullish. We did stay above the 20 SMA, but below the midpoint. So this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is a balance. It's not bullish. It's not extremely bullish. It's not extremely bearish. It's just oscillating right around the middle point. We did do some recovery, so that's why we had some rise in price. But I think when we have days where we're up here and we're doing this push up, that's a bullish day. this is not a bullish day. Reviewing trend, we can see some nasty kind of candles here, and mostly in that balance zone. If you've not seen the other videos, this 1.1 to 0.9 range, this is balance. Now when we're having a stronger trending move like this right here and this right here, that can be okay for grabbing, shorts or longs. And if you've not seen the other videos, trend inversely correlated. So when we're rising up, that's a bearish move. Going down, that's a bullish move. Taking a look at VOLD, we can see it's much similar to ADD. We have the 0 point here showing a balance, and we're somewhat oscillating around it. We had a couple of rising moves signaling just a slight bit of advancement in the market today, but overall this is not bullish, right? We've been seeing this kind of move here. That's bullish, that's bullish, so is this. Look how different it is. Not what we want to see. When you see this kind of market playing out, if you're an options trader, this is like iron condors, theta decay, heaven right here. Not the kind of market I want to scalp. Apple had some good moves today, but again, you're just using TWAP and tick and price action to grab these moves, which is certainly acceptable. I've said in past videos, perhaps you turn off a ton of this stuff or you only use one of the indicators. That's totally possible. There's definitely some great moves here today that you could have caught. Same as the Qs. But you're just ignoring a lot of the other data, which again, you can totally do. All right, folks, I don't have too much more to say about everything today. The internals themselves, trend, VOLD, and ADD, I don't have much of an assessment for tomorrow's market. It could be more of the same, or it could not be. There's not much here from VOLD or ADD, just basically showing a balance. It could be that we're just going to have very little excitement going into the end of the week. I know there's some economic news next week, so perhaps the market's just kind of pricing in all of that. All right, well, hopefully you all were able to grab some opportunities today from this market. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.